Welcome to Thrive Week 4. Today we're exploring the role of nutrition in brain health and stroke recovery, which is a huge component of healing. Before we get into it, please make sure that you're subscribed to the channel so that we can reach more survivors across the globe. All right, let's get into it. Foods for brain health. According to an article from Harvard's Medical School, there are 5 different foods that have been linked with better cardiovascular health, which ultimately end up being good for brain health. And while there is no magic bullet to recovery, eating a variety of foods that support brain health and cardiovascular health may ultimately help to boost your overall health and recovery. Of course, talk with your doctor about what foods are best for your particular situation. So what are these foods? Well, to start off, green leafy vegetables like spinach, kale, broccoli, and collard greens are full of vitamin K, folate, and beta-carotene, which are good for brain health. These green veggies can also help slow cognitive decline. Now, second, we have got fatty fish, and these are important for brain health because they contain omega-3 fatty acids and unsaturated fats, which are better than saturated fats in the way that our body breaks them down. These include fish like salmon, cod, canned tuna, and pollock, which are also low in mercury. Now, if you don't eat meat, you can get omega-3 fatty acids from avocados, walnuts, and flax seeds. Third, berries. The colors that berries have as a result of their plant pigments help to actually improve memory. And a study at Brigham and Women's Hospital found that, quote, women who consumed 2 or more servings of strawberries and blueberries each week delayed memory decline by up to 2.5 years, end quote. Fourth, tea and coffee. Now, this one may be a little bit surprising and should be taken with a bit of caution for survivors. Caffeine may be helpful in improving short-term memory, solidifying new memories, and overall mental function. This was based on a 2014 study that used a relatively small dose of caffeine per day, around 200 milligrams. I would definitely check with your doctor to make sure caffeine consumption is safe for your particular situation. The last food, walnuts. Now, these nuts in particular are high in a type of omega-3 fatty acids called alpha-linolenic acid, or ALA, which has been linked to lower blood pressure and less buildup in arteries. A general win for overall cardiovascular and brain health. So it's good to know that some foods can boost brain health, but what about everything else that we eat? Nutrition labels. If you've never learned to read nutrition labels or you're a little rusty, grab a food container from your pantry and let's take a look at the basics. Because I live in the US, I'm going to be going over US nutrition labels, but many of the concepts will translate to nutrition labels around the world. First things first, you want to look at calories and number of servings. And at least in the United States, companies can get really tricky about serving sizes. And you may say, oh wow, there's only 100 calories in this, when there are actually 5 servings in one container, which means that the entire container actually has 500 calories. So being aware of total calories is an important first step. And you can calculate this by taking the number of calories and multiplying it by the total number of servings for that container. Now, you also want to look at the nutrients. Just because something is high in total fat doesn't mean that it's necessarily bad. You want to look at where that fat is coming from, with unsaturated fats being the gold standard. If it has a large percentage of saturated or trans fats, that's no good. You also want to check on the total carbohydrates. Depending on your diet, depending on whether or not you have diabetes, the amount of carbs that's right for you is going to vary. However, as a general rule of thumb, you want to stay away from added sugars and look for foods that have higher dietary fiber. Keep an eye on sodium levels as well. It's been shown that foods high in sodium and saturated fats can both lead to high blood pressure and cardiovascular disease. Again, your doctor may have a specific number that they want you to stay under, but if not, you can always compare the amount of sodium to the daily value percentage on the right side of the label. And this just means that the amount on the left is this percentage of the daily sodium intake decided by the US Food and Drug Administration. Now, aside from looking at nutrition labels, there are also some things that you can do while you're at the grocery store to choose foods that are better for your brain. Grocery shopping tips. My favorite tip for when you're trying to make healthier choices at the grocery store is to get 80% of your groceries from around the perimeter of the store and only 20% of your groceries from the interior. Why is this? Grocery stores typically place fresh foods like fruits, vegetables, dairy, meat, and seafood around the perimeter of the store. And if you stock up on these versus the more processed foods, you're already ahead of the game in terms of picking healthier food options. Now, you can still eat healthy from the interior of the store, but you want to focus on prepackaged foods like rice, grains, beans, lentils, coffee beans, oatmeal, whole grain bread, canned light tuna, canned salmon, etc. And another tip that may seem obvious, don't go shopping when you're hungry. We tend to make worse food decisions when we do go to the store hungry. Everything looks good, so we put it in our cart. And since the coronavirus pandemic, many stores have now started offering free or low-cost pickup of groceries. And using a service like this can help cut down on purchasing excess and also keep you focused on healthier foods that you actually want to keep in your house. All right, everyone, that's it for Thrive Week 4. Leave a comment down below and let me and others know. What did you know about foods that are good for brain health? Did you know how to read a nutrition label? And do you practice any of those tips to eat more healthily at the grocery store? As always, I'm going to leave a link down in the description if you'd like to sign up for the email list, which gets you free stroke recovery tips and a copy of my ebook, The Stroke Recovery Pocket Guide. And if you do find value in what we do here at Post Stroke, please consider donating, either by giving us a super thanks by clicking in the YouTube bar below, by giving us a one-time donation via PayPal, or by becoming a Patreon member, where in exchange for a monthly donation, you get access to cool perks like social media shoutouts and even YouTube shoutouts, of which I have a few today. Thank you so much for continuing to support Post Stroke at the Empower level. We can't do what we do without you. And of course, thank you to all of our other Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.